Good morning to everyone. Nagarjuna here from Surya HANA Academy. We're going to start today's session. So before we start today's session, I would like to recap yesterday's session. In the yesterday's session, we started with asking a very simple question. The question we have asked is, for a 2 trillion records data, the number of columns in a table is 4. So the table has 4 columns and it has 2 trillion records. When you ask a simple question on the table, and if this data is stored in MS SQL, the time it takes to answer questions like who are my top customers, what are my slow selling materials, to answer this question, it takes more than 8 hours. For the same question, when you ask in HANA, it takes less than 6 seconds. So we started to analyze, now why is it so it only takes 6 seconds? What are the reasons behind it? So we understood the first one is an in-memory DB, the second one columnar database, third one massive parallel processing. Now, why in-memory databases have extremely high performance? Two reasons. One is data kept close to CPU, and RAM is faster in processing data than disk. So RAM is very fast in processing data when compared to disk. What is the difference between a row-based and a column-based table? In row, it tries to scan the entire table. For whatever question you ask, it will scan the entire table. In column, it only scans required columns that are requested by the user. The third point, massive parallel processing, where complex programs are broken down into smaller subsets, and each subset of a program is processed by different cores of a CPU. Now each core, for example, if you have a quad-core CPU, each core can process the same program parallelly. Instead of doing sequentially, it does parallelly. So whenever we do work parallelly, obviously it is going to consume a lot of resources, but the work completed is faster. So parallel processing helps in high performance. So we have seen these 3 reasons why HANA is called as high performance. And then we started to see what is the role of SAP HANA consultant in a project. Basically, a HANA consultant has to perform there are primary three tasks he have to perform. One is data modeling, data reporting, and data provisioning. So most of the time that we spend is on the data modeling. So 60% of the time is on the data modeling, 20% on the data reporting, and 20% on the data provisioning. And finally, at the end of the session, we have seen the course content and the question answers. So that is what we have seen in the yesterday's session. So in today's session, coming to today's session, so today is only to understand what is the landscape that we have, what is the user ID and passwords for each of the systems. I'm going to explain the entire landscape and how these different systems in our landscape are integrated to each other, and what is the user ID and password for each system. So that is for today's session. So once we complete today's session, then I'm going to quickly walk through what is HANA Studio at the end of the session. So for Monday, we are going to start our first session, which is Introduction to SAP HANA. Okay, so start today's session. So basically, we all will get the server access for 6 months. So what will we be accessing on a daily basis? The first thing is, to access our server, we have a static IP address. The ISP, Internet Service Provider, provides a static IP. So the static IP, we all have to access 122.175.39.11. So this is the static IP. So servers are located in India. Servers are located in India. So this is the static IP for our server. So in order to access the static IP, we need to go to remote desktop connection. Once we go to the remote desktop connection, we can access using MSTSC. MSTSC. So once you enter the static IP in the MSTSC, so every participant will have his own user ID and password. Every participant will have their own user IDs and password. So once you enter the user ID and password, now you can enter into the remote desktop. Please see. So this is the remote desktop connection. So once we enter into the remote desktop connection, you can see HANA Studio, already open HANA Studio, HANA Modeler. So in this way, once we go to the remote desktop connection, so what are the different systems that you can find inside this? Okay, let me start with the source systems. What source systems we have? We have ECC, ECC 6.0. The version of the ECC 6.0, EHP7, Enhancement Package 7 is the version. So this is an SAP system. So this is an SAP system. The username and password to access this system is, the username is Surya, password is Surya1234. I would like to highlight one point over here. Only to enter the remote desktop, only to enter the remote desktop connection, you'll have a different user ID and password. But once we are inside the remote desktop, means once I'm inside this box, and this is the remote desktop, we all share same user IDs and same passwords. Now why did I keep something like this is because whatever the exercises I'm doing in this, we will all have same authorization. We'll all have same authorization. So that is the reason we all will have same user IDs and passwords once we enter inside the remote desktop connection. So this is an SAP source system. And this ECC 6.0 EHP7, now this is on an MS SQL database. So basically this is an IDS system. This is an IDS. So what is the advantage of having demo systems? So this is a demo system provided by SAP. So in the demo system, we will have all the configuration and lots amount of data that you can play with. So this is installed on the MS SQL database. So this is an SAP source system. SAP source system. ECC installed on the MS SQL database. The version of database is 2008. MS SQL 2008 is the version of the database. Now coming to the target system. So in the target system, we have HANA as our database. HANA database version is SP11. So how will we know the version of SAP HANA? It's very simple. Now when SAP released HANA, they started to follow something called revisions. Now what is a revision? A revision is something which will continue to add new functionality to the existing functionality. New functionality and also any errors that has to be resolved will be released as revisions from SAP. So from HANA revision 1 till revision 10, it is SP1. So directly nowhere it will be written that HANA will be SP11. You just need to follow these revisions. So based on this revision, we can tell what is the version of HANA. Revision 1 to 10 is SP1. In the same way, revision 10 to revision 20 is SP HANA SPS2. So now what is the current version? SP11. So what revision do we expect? It is revision 110. Sorry, it is revision 101 till 110 is SP10. So this is SP11, I'm sorry, this is SP11. From 90 to 100 is SP10. From SP10, it is 101. It is 101 to 110. Yeah. So basically from 100 to SP10, 110 is SP11. So that is the revision that we have for SAP HANA. The username and password for SAP HANA is, the username is HANA user and the password is W capital welcome 1234. So this is the username. HANA user is the username and the password is W capital welcome 1234. On top of SAP HANA, on top of HANA database, we have S4 HANA. So S4 HANA is nothing but simplified fourth generation HANA. In S4 HANA, we basically have two versions. One is 15.06 and 15.11. 15.06 is nothing but 15 is the year and 06 is the month. So 15 is the year and 11 is the month. So the latest software for S4 HANA is 15.11. Nothing but this is released on year 15 and the month is 11. On HANA you also have BW powered by HANA. You also have BW powered by HANA. So the version of BW is 7.5 is the version of BW and the service pack is SP1. SP1 is the service pack for BW 7.5 S4 HANA is 15.11, which is the latest version. HANA SP11, it is based on the revision 101 till 110. Now coming to the data provisioning. Now this is the source system, and here you have target system. Now when I say source system and target system, what do we mean here is, a source system is where data is originated. Now when we install SAP HANA, the database is completely empty. We don't have any data. So how are we going to get data to HANA? From this IDS system, which SAP already provided dummy data for performing different scenarios, we can connect this ECC IDS to SAP HANA. So we can move data from ECC. We can move data from ECC. So is my voice audible? There is some disturbance in between. I see some messages from participants. Is everything okay? Yeah, thank you. I got some messages from participants that they're unable to hear me. Okay, so this is an IDS system. So in IDS system, basically we have all the data that is populated by SAP. So in order to move data from this system to this system, so what are we going to do to move data from this system to this system? How can we move data? We can move data using data provisioning method. We can move using data provisioning. So in data provisioning, what are the different systems we have? So as discussed yesterday, the first system that we have is SLT. The system that we have is SLT. SLT stands for SAP Landscape Transformation. The use case of SLT is, I'll tell you a simple example. Let us take a table called sales order header table. In a sales order header table, you'll have all the order related information. In SAP, the name of this table is VBAK. Now, whenever I create sales orders on the ECC side, it is actually stored in the backend table. It is stored in the backend. So for this table, what is the backend? MS SQL. So basically, the ECC is installed on the MS SQL. So the table that you have, or the data that you have, is stored on the MS SQL side. Okay. Now, whenever I post any data into this table, whenever I post any records in this table, for example, I created a new sales order. From ECC to SLT, we have a connection because both the systems have to communicate to each other. For both the systems to communicate to each other, we have a connection called RFC. Now, who is going to integrate this ECC system with SLT? So in a project, we have something called HANA admin. So we are called as HANA application consultant. Most of the time we spent taking the requirement from the customer, based on the requirement, how we can provide our deliverables. We are close to customers always, close to the business. But HANA admin are mostly working on the system installation, system integration, patching, backup, high availability, disaster recovery. So most of the time they would be working on the system. So integrating ECC with SLT will be done by HANA admin. So this part will be done by HANA administrator. And again, SLT to HANA. SLT should be integrated to HANA. So SLT can communicate to HANA using a DB connection. So this integration will be done by the HANA administrator. Okay. So we understand ECC is the source system. In the data provisioning, SLT is used to transfer data in real time. From SLT, you can connect to HANA. Okay. The communication between ECC to SLT is RFC. From SLT to HANA is a DB connection. So once you have this pipeline established, whenever a sales order is created and posted into this table, immediately VBAK table is over here. When you post, for example, 001, 100, the same copy of the table will be available in here, 001, 100. Now, what is the advantage of maintaining two tables? One on the source system and one on the target system. What is the advantage? Yesterday we discussed this table is row because it stores on MS SQL. And the same table when you have in HANA is a column based. High performance. This table when you have on the MS SQL, it stores a primary way to store this table. So where does it store? In a computer. If this is a computer, so if this is a disk, MS SQL is basically storing data on disk. So this record is storing in disk. But when you have this record in HANA, this table is stored in RAM. So directly in RAM it stores over here. HANA is designed in such a way that data is stored in memory, but here it is stored in disk. So what's the advantage? Again, high performance. Next, ECC is an ABAP application layer. It's a ABAP application layer. Sequential processing. ABAP does sequential processing, whereas HANA does parallel processing. Okay. Now what I'm trying to say over here is whatever the data that we have on the ECC side, we can transfer them via SLT to HANA in real time. Whenever you insert any data over here, immediately using RFC via SLT via DB, it gets updated to HANA. Okay. What is the username and password for SLT? Same. It is Surya 1234. I would uh, I would like to mention one note over here. The note is usually when we work on the real world projects, when we are working on the real world projects, you see SLT is configured as a standalone system. It's basically a standalone system. A standalone system in the sense it has dedicated CPU, dedicated memory, and dedicated disk. But in our environment, how I designed is SLT is configured in such a way that SLT and ECC, SLT and ECC both share the same computer, means same host. Same host is nothing but the same computer, so both of them share the same host. The reason I have done like this is because I would like to save resources. So the computer we have is a very powerful system. The system that we have is a 32 core CPU, 196 GB of RAM, and 3 terabyte of disk. So usually when you are working on the real projects, this is installed on a different computer, but in here I've installed directly as an add-on. I've installed SLT as an add-on on the ECC side. So it means that whatever the user ID that ECC has, the same user ID SLT will also have. So this is not caps. This is all, everything is small case. Here the password is small case. Okay, so what is the version of SLT? The version of SLT is 2.0. Service pack is SPS 10. SLT 2.0 and service pack is 10. What is the version of ECC? ECC 6.0, EHP 7. Version of database 2008. Version of S4 1511. Version of BW 7.5 SP1. HANA SP11. So SLT used for real-time data transfer. It connects to the ECC via RFC, connects to HANA via DB connection. Now coming to the next one. What is the second data provisioning we discussed? It was BODS, Business Objects Data Services. Business Objects Data Services is an ETL tool. Extract, transform and load. It extracts, it transforms and finally load to HANA. So again, ECC communicates to BODS and BODS communicates to HANA. So BODS to HANA, it uses ODBC connection, ODBC, Open Database Connect. It uses an ODBC connection to connect to HANA. And ECC to BODS, it uses RFC, remote function call. The version of BODS is 4.2, SPS 6. 4.2, SPS 6. One point I would like to highlight here is BODS, you see this comes under data provisioning. We do data provisioning over here. We do data modeling in HANA. And where do we do data reporting or the presentation of data? The presentation of data is done in BOBI, Business Objects Business Intelligence. So BODS and BOBI. BODS and BOBI are the part of, both BODS and BOBI are part of Business Objects Business Intelligence platform. It means that both of these applications share the same user ID and password. Surya 1234. So what I'm trying to show you today is what systems we have, how each of the system is integrated to each other, what is the user ID and password for each system. That is what the main highlights for today's session. So BODS, which is an ETL tool, and BOBI, which is a reporting, it's mainly used for analytics or the presentation of data. Both of them are installed as a part of BOBI platform. The username is Surya, the password is Surya1234. So what is the username for ECC Surya1234? SLT same, HANA user welcome 1234, where W is the capital letter. For S4 and BW, it is same again. For S4 and BW, it is Surya 1234. And for even BW, it is same. Surya 1234. So this is the version, this is the username and password. BODS has two UIs. We can access BODS using a UI called Data Services Workbench. Data Services Workbench. So using this UI is nothing but the user interface. So using this UI, we can access BODS. And the other UI is the designer. Designer is the other UI to access BODS. So how do we access ECC using SAP GUI? SAP Graphical User Interface. How do we access MS SQL? SQL Management Studio. How do we access SLT? Again, SAP GUI, Graphical User Interface. How do we access BODS, Workbench? How do we access HANA, HANA Studio? So all these are different UIs for different systems. So HANA can be accessed using HANA Studio, BODS can be accessed using Workbench, SLT can be accessed using SAP GUI, ECC SAP GUI, MS SQL can be accessed using Management Studio. So here it is called as Management Studio. In HANA is called as HANA Studio. Third one, after BODS we have DXE. Now DXE is just a connection. It's not a tool, it's just a connection. Inside this ECC, inside the EC system, right, we have something called inbuilt BW system. Inside the ECC, we have inbuilt BW system. This BW system is also on the MS SQL database. DXE can communicate to the source system via HTTP connection. Using the HTTP protocol, the data is transferred via web. So using the HTTP protocol, the data is transferred via web from ECC to HANA. So here we are using RFC. Here we are using RFC for BODS. For DXE we use HTTP protocol to transfer via web to HANA. So all this configuration will be done by HANA admin. So where does a HANA admin create all these connections? In ECC we have a T code called SM59. There is a transaction code inside ECC where all these connections are configured by HANA admin in the SM59 transaction code. I'll also show you as a part of the course how we can configure all of them when we actually see each of these tools. DXE is only a simple connection that needs to be created, that can be created in SM59, that can be created by HANA administrator. The last one is the smart data access. Smart data access. Smart data access is mainly to get data from non-SAP databases, like non-SAP database in the sense MS SQL, DB2, Hadoop. DB2 is another database. So in order to get data from different databases like MS SQL, DB2, Hadoop, Sybase, in order to get data from different databases, we use smart data access. But how does smart data access communicate to these databases? Using ODBC connection. We have to create a ODBC connection. Via the ODBC, it can connect to the database. And the smart data access, so where is smart data access available? Smart data access is the part of SAP HANA. So inside the HANA Studio, we have smart data access. Smart data access can access data. I'll tell you a simple example. Let's say we have a table over here or a table over here. We want to access this table. to HANA. So this is the target. We want to access this table to HANA. So in HANA, it creates something called a virtual table. HANA has two kinds of tables. One is a physical table. You see, when you get data from SLT to HANA, it creates a physical table. What is a physical table and what is a virtual table? Simply to say, a jug with a glass with a water. A glass is nothing but a container and water is nothing but content. So when you say a physical table, a container with content is nothing but a physical table. Physically data exists. The other one is called as a virtual table. Now what is virtual table is nothing but it only has a container. It doesn't have content. Content is never stored physically in a table. Just it is like a view. A view is only a container without content. But when will a view get data? When you actually access the view, in the runtime, it gets the data. Only in the runtime. In the same way, smart data access gets data in runtime from different databases into HANA using a virtual table concept. So in HANA, tables which can physically store data, tables that can access data virtually from different source systems. Now, what is the difference between storing data physically and virtually? Now, data is actually over here, data is here, but the container is here. Container is here and content is over here. Let's say when I request data from this table, it has to travel all the way using the ODBC connection, get the data from here, and again get back the data to HANA. So what does this mean? Virtual tables to access is time consuming because only in the runtime they go to the source, fetch data and show to the end user. But when you actually access data from a physical table, the data and the content is here, so it is faster. So it's only matter of performance. So virtual tables are slow to access data because they have to travel to a different system, get data on the fly. But physical tables in HANA store data inside the HANA system. Okay, so what is the advantage of smart data access? It's only that they can connect to third-party systems and get data on the fly. DXC uses HTTP connection. BODS uses an RFC connection. Version of BODS 4.2 SP6. The UI is Workbench. SLT 2.0 SPS 10 communicates to ECC using RFC. The source system is an ECC system. It's on the MS SQL. So here you have ECC and BW on the MS SQL. Moving forward, the simplified version of ECC 6.0 is nothing but S4 HANA. When we say S4 HANA, in ECC you have different options. You can install ECC on MS SQL, ECC on Oracle, but S4 HANA system can only be installed on HANA. It cannot be installed on other databases. We have a new application called Simple Finance, Simple Logistics. So these are the part of S4 HANA system. So S4 HANA basically can only run on HANA, while ECC can run on any other database. So that's the primary difference between ECC on MS, but both having the same functionality. Functionality is same. Here FICO consultant does the configuration. Here also FICO consultant does the configuration. But it's more simple. Redundancy of data is not there. SAP has eliminated indexes, aggregates. Why did they eliminate? Because database is very powerful over here. It's very fast in processing data. But on the ECC side, what SAP has done is they designed the ECC system in such a way it is optimized to run on MS SQL. Now, why did they design ECC to be optimized on MS SQL? Because MS SQL primarily stores data on disk. So how much ever you store data, it doesn't matter because disk is a very cheap or it's very cheaper when you compare to memory. You see, 1 terabyte of disk or 2 terabyte of disk, if you go to market in today's price, you can get for 7,000 INR, approximately around 100 USD for 2 terabyte of data to store for an ECC. For 2 terabyte of data, the disk price is 7,000 INR, $100. Now, if you have the same ECC on HANA, for example, we have a solution. When you have ECC on HANA, we have a solution that is known as Suite on HANA, Business Suite on HANA. So 2 terabyte of ECC data, when you store on HANA, the 2 terabyte will become 1/4 of data. So whenever we do sizing, 2 terabyte of data when you store on HANA, it is very, very expensive. Now, what is the advantage of HANA when you have the same data on MS SQL? When you move the same data to HANA, what is the advantage of HANA when you have the same 2 terabyte? No customer will buy HANA. HANA will become a failure product. When you have same data on MS SQL, you move the same data to HANA, it is same 2 terabyte. It is very, very expensive to maintain the hardware. That is why what SAP has done is they have implemented algorithms. These algorithms are known as one of the algorithm is known as run length encoding algorithm. Run length encoding. So what does these algorithms do? These algorithms help to compress data. They help to compress data. So what is the advantage of compressing the data? The advantage is it takes less space. When it takes less space, I invest less money into the hardware. If I invest less money to the hardware, then my return on investment is quick. So that is the reason whenever you move data from an MS SQL to HANA, if it is 2 terabyte, HANA will never be successful product. But instead what SAP has done is they implemented dictionary encoding algorithms. Dictionary encoding. What is encoding? Encoding is nothing but converting from strings to integers. A string occupies more space. A string is nothing but, for example, when I say A alphabet, when it stores inside, it occupies 8 bits of data. It occupies 8 bits. When I say A is equal to 1, instead of storing A, I actually store 1. When I say A is equal to 1, instead of storing A, I store 1. A occupies 8 bits, whereas 1 occupies 1 bit. So what SAP HANA does is, instead of storing strings, it converts strings to integers. This is nothing but called as encoding of data. This encoding of data is implemented by different algorithms that are running inside the database. So that is why HANA is cheaper to maintain, because even though it is on memory, it is cheaper to maintain because a disk size divided by 4 is equal to the memory size. That is how it occupies. Now why it happens like this? Because HANA uses special algorithms. These are known as encoding. It does encoding of data. Encoding of data is nothing but converting from strings to integers. A string occupies 8 bits, but when you say a is equal to 1, and when you store internally as 1, instead of storing a, we only store 1. That's why the compression happens. Okay. Now, why am I telling all these details is because, you see, when you have ECC on MS SQL, we can simply go for ECC on HANA. Even SAP has released a solution called ECC on HANA, which is known as Business Suite powered by HANA. Now, after releasing the solution, why did SAP again come up with S4 HANA? The point here is, why did SAP come up with S4 HANA? You can simply remove MS SQL and replace with HANA. Okay. Now, we are only replacing a database. But how about the structures or the complexity that you have in the ABAP system? So in here, to maintain one entry, for example, I'll take a simple example. Whenever you post documents in COPA, in profitability analysis in finance, you have tables that are line item tables. You have tables that are summary tables. We have tables that are line item tables. We have tables that are summary tables. A line item table is a table that maintains data in a detailed fashion. A summary table is a table that maintains data in a summary format. To tell you a simple example for this, every day I go to a milk shop. I go to a shop and purchase 1 packet of milk in the month of February. In the month of February, every day I'm going to a shop, I'm trying to purchase a packet of milk. So if you ask me how many times in the month of Feb I went to a shop, it is 29 times. Every day I spend around $1. Excuse me. Every day I spend around $1. So now you have 29 entries in this table, which is a line item table or a detail table. But when you take a summary table, it only maintains a single entry. For the month of Feb, the entire transactions are done. For 29 days, it is $29. But in here, for every day, there is one entry. There are 29 entries over here. Here you have one entry. Okay. Now what SAP has done is, instead of storing data redundantly again in a different table, so what happens when you store data again in another table? When you store data redundantly, what happens? It is going to consume space in HANA again. So is it not wasting the database space? When you waste the database space, when you store on memory, it is again expensive. So what SAP has done is, they redesigned how different applications can work. They redesigned the entire applications. They redesigned the entire tables. The simplification of the ECC by removing the summary tables, by removing the indexes, maintaining the structures in a more simplified way is nothing but S4 HANA. That's why S4 is known as simplified 4th generation HANA. Simplified. What is simplified? They have simplified how they can maintain data structures. We don't have to store data redundantly because it's going to waste database space. Then if you don't want to store data redundantly, how can we access data faster? How can we access data faster? Is it not columnar database? Is it not storing data in memory? Is it not accessing data parallelly? So due to the advantage we have on the database side, the application server is getting the advantage over here. So that is the reason we don't actually store data redundantly in S4 HANA system. So here it is known as FICO. The same FICO in here it is known as Simple Finance, or S4 HANA Finance. Simple Finance means nothing but the application is maintained very simple. Okay. Now coming back to the systems that we have, ECC system on the MS SQL, BW on MS SQL, data provisioning SLT, BODS, DXC, Smart Data Access. On the target system, we have HANA. On top of HANA, we have S4 HANA. On top of HANA, we have BW. Now, finally, coming to the presentation of data, that is BOBI. Let me remove all this extra drawings I've done. I'll remove all this. Okay, we have BOBI. Now, in the BOBI, Business Objects, Business Intelligence portfolio, we have different set of tools. We have different set of tools like Lumira. We have Analysis for Office. I'll just write shortcuts over here. Analysis for Office. Analysis for OLAP. Analysis for OLAP. Explorer. Explorer. Design Studio. Design Studio. Design Studio. Information Design Tool. Information Design Tool. Information Design Tool. Okay. Third-party systems like Tablio. Tablio. Tablio is a third-party system. Reporting tool. It's very popular reporting tool. TIBCO Spotfire or IBM Cognos. IBM Cognos. So all these are nothing but how we would like to present data. Now, why do we have these many tools to present data? Some business users, most of the time, they love to work on Excel. Now, even though we tell them, okay, this is very beautiful report, you can do it on web, you can access in mobile, you can access in iPad, but still they always insist they got used to working on Excel from last 20 years. And still they still want to continue to work on Excel. That is why SAP has released a product called Analysis for Office. Analysis for Office is a product. It enables business users to use Excel, continuing to use Excel. Excel is from Microsoft. HANA is from SAP. In order to integrate HANA and Microsoft Excel, they have an add-on. They have an add-on which is known as Analysis for Office. So once we install that add-on, both Analysis for Office and HANA can communicate to each other. Analysis for Office. Once we install that add-on, Analysis for Office and HANA can communicate to each other. So how is the communication method? ODBC, Open Database Connect. Actually, I'm going more details into the connection part, which are not really required, but just in case participants who are on the solution architect level or any other who are already familiar with SAP environment, probably they can try to see this. But again, we will discuss whatever the topics I'm discussing here, we will again discuss in each of the session very detailedly. This is only to give a high level picture, what systems we have, how the systems are integrated to each other, what is the use of each system, what is the username and password for each system. But again, we will see each of these components in very detailed fashion in these 55 hours that we are going to start from Monday. So in here, it uses an ODBC connection to communicate to HANA. Lumira is mainly for visualization. Lumira can be worked on-premise, it can work on cloud. It can work on-premise. Also, it can work on cloud. When we say Lumira can work on cloud, what does this mean? In software, you have two things. A software is designed to work on-premise. The software is designed to work on cloud. Whenever a software is designed to work on a cloud, that software is known as, that software is delivered as software as a service model. Software, you're delivering software as a service. So if you ask me, in the analytics portfolio, what are the different tools that SAP has delivered as a software as a service model in the analytics portfolio? Only Lumira. Lumira is also known as Cloud for Analytics. SAP renamed it as a Cloud for Analytics. Lumira can be worked on cloud because SAP has designed the software in such a way that it can run on a cloud. So when you say an application runs on a cloud, what does this mean? It's nothing but you cannot see that application installed in add remove programs. In every computer, we have control panel in Windows. Inside the control panel, you have add remove programs. Any application you install, you can see in that add remove program. If you want to remove a program, you can remove from there. When you add a program or when you remove a program, where are we doing this? On the local computer. That is nothing but on-premise. When you say cloud, the application has a similar functionality. The application has a similar functionality on how it works when you add into the local computer. It works with a similar functionality, but you cannot find that application running on your local system. The beauty of software as a service is we cannot find the application in add remove programs, but still application runs. Now where will application run? In a software as a service model. It is actually running in the backend where the servers are available. When a software runs on cloud, even the hardware is on cloud. When the hardware is on cloud, even the database is on cloud. So everything is on cloud. So just to highlight, what is the advantage of Lumira when you compare with other tools? Analysis for Office, what is its advantage? Running in Excel, because business likes Excel. What is the advantage of having Lumira running on cloud? A simple example would be, I can buy a laptop and keep it with me. The same laptop I can share with 10 people. If I buy myself, it is very, very expensive. If I gather 10 people and everyone, if I ask them, please invest in this laptop, we will buy and we will share together. It is cheaper to maintain. In the same way, Lumira, when it runs on cloud, you can share the application. You can share the application, especially for small scale customers who cannot invest much money. It is something like prepaid. Okay, I'll only use Lumira for 1 month or 2 months. Just give me an access. Just give me access. I'm going to So the application will not be owned by me, the hardware will not be owned by me, the software is not owned by me, but just I will use the application. Just just like a Gmail. In Gmail, you type in the URL, all your mails are actually maintained in the Google server. We are not the owners of the servers. Servers are maintained by Google. The backup is maintained by Google. Everything is maintained by Google. But still we continue to use the service for free. And Google store our email in different servers for high availability and disaster recovery. In the same way, whenever we share an application, it is cheaper to maintain. To share that application, the software needs to be designed as a software as a service. So the point here is SAP has designed Lumira in such a way it can be shareable and it can be cheaper to maintain for small scale customers. For a large scale customer, they do not much bother about money. They can invest in the hardware, they can invest in the software, they can maintain their own data center. But really for a small scale customers, it does maintain money is the main criteria, so you can still continue to using application by paying as a subscription model. Okay, now coming back, the tools like Design Studio. Design Studio is mainly for iPad and iPhone applications. You can design an application for iPad and iPhone. Tableau is a third-party reporting tool. Very easier to use. It can integrate with HANA. IDT, Information Design Tool. You can you can create connections to various target systems. You have another tool called CRE, Crystal Reports Enterprise. Crystal Reports Enterprise is mainly for formatted reports. So these are okay. These are the different tools. So what is our role in a HANA project? Data modeling, data provisioning, and data reporting. So where do we do data modeling? Inside the HANA Studio. Inside the HANA Studio. What is HANA Studio? Is the UI, user interface. So using this HANA Studio, I can access HANA. What is the version of HANA? SP11. What is the username? HANA user. Password W capital. Welcome 1234. So data modeling is done inside the HANA system. Coming to data provisioning. Data provisioning SLT, BODS, DXC, Smart Data Access. What is the version of SLT? 2.0, SPS 10. Username is Surya 1234. BODS 4.2, SP6. You can access via Workbench. SLT can be accessed via SAP GUI. DXC is a connection, Smart Data Access is a connection. DXC connection can be created in SM59. Smart Data Access can be created in HANA. Now coming to the source system. Source system is ECC, which is on MS SQL. Now why do we have the source system? This is when you want to migrate. So we will see exercises on how we can migrate data from ECC, how we can migrate from MS SQL, how we can migrate from Sybase or DB2 to SAP HANA. So from the data provisioning side, you have SLT, BODS, DXC, Smart Data Access. Coming to data reporting. In the data reporting, you have different set of tools like Lumira, Analysis for Office, OLAP. This is mainly for OLAP sources. Explorer. Explorer is like Google like search. So how does, whenever you search in Google, it does page ranking. In the same way, in Explorer, it also does ranking functionality. Whenever you ask a word in Google, it gives appropriate results. In Explorer also, it gives appropriate result is similar to Google. IDT, to create connections, Cognos, third-party reporting tool. Design Studio, mainly for creating applications for iPad and iPhone, Tableau, third-party reporting tool, and Crystal Reports Enterprise. So a HANA consultant has to perform these roles. For these roles, these systems are available. And these are the usernames and passwords for each of these systems. So in the Monday session, I'm going to show you, first of all, we are going to give you user IDs and passwords. Please send us an email, or Bharat will take email from all of you. Excuse me. Bharat will take all emails from you. He'll create user IDs and passwords and give access to all the systems. So on Monday, we will only work on this system, which is HANA and HANA Studio. Still, you continue to access all these systems, but we will start to work on HANA. I'll start with the introduction to HANA Studio from Monday. So meanwhile, excuse me. So meanwhile, two things are important. The first thing is, please get access to the systems. The second thing is, I will tell you how we have to prepare for certification. Coming to the certification, how we have to prepare and get success through certification. Okay. For success in the certification, the first thing that we have to do is start reading HA. I encourage everyone to read these materials. I'm going to provide these materials. So these materials are based on SPS 10. SAP did not release materials for SPS 11. So these are the SAP standard training material, SP 10. HA 100, which is Introduction to HANA. So this material will actually introduce you to why did HANA come into the picture? What are the advantages of HANA? What are columnar databases? What is parallel processing? What is the architecture of SAP HANA? What are the different services which are running inside HANA? How different data reporting tools are connected to HANA? So all these things are discussed in HA100. So this is basically an introduction book, which is an introduction to SAP HANA. The book name is Introduction to HANA. So I'm going to share all these materials. So we have something called Dropbox. So inside the Dropbox, I'll just show you. So I'm actually going to create one folder name here. You see, this is my Dropbox. So I'm going to create one folder name like this. January 11th, one batch is started. So January 11, we have taken these classes. So I'm going to keep all the materials over here. If I open HANA material, HA100, which is Introduction to HANA. So this is the material for HA100. So this is the course here. You can see Introduction and Positioning, HANA Studio, Architecture, Modeling, Data Provisioning, Reporting, Data Provisioning, Modeling, Architecture of SAP HANA, Introduction. So this particular is 310 pages. So participants who are going for certification, please do read these materials. Coming to the certification, I can tell one point is never SAP goes and ask a question out of these materials. Anyway, I'm going to teach based on my experience, based on my understanding. I'm going to teach everything, but my teaching is mostly customized. I'm not going to follow standard, but all the contents that are there inside the standard material, I'm going to cover everything. But I'm going to teach in a customized way But these are standard materials provided by SAP. So everyone please go through these materials. Please give a read. So once you complete this, then go for the next material, which is HA300. HA300 is a material which talks more about data modeling, advanced data modeling. HA100 gives introduction to data modeling, data provisioning, and data reporting. But HA300 is specifically talking about very detailedness into the data modeling. Now we have another book called HA350. HA350. HA350 mainly focus on the data provisioning, but this is an optional book. This is not a mandatory book for certification. This is an optional book, but good to read this book. It mainly focuses on the data provisioning. And we have another book called HA900. HA900 is a book which mainly talks about when ECC is on HANA. When you have ECC on HANA, how do we handle security? How do we handle HANA Live? How do we handle data models? This specifically talks about ECC on HANA, how we have to design data models when ECC is on HANA. This talks about HA900. So from certification point of view, these materials are important along with the hands-on. So all the exercises that we have as an assignments. So I'll show you a few assignments over here. So in these assignments, so we actually created a step-by-step process for all the assignments. So you can go through these step-by-step materials to create these assignments on your own. So we have to complete all these assignments, and please email me your assignments. So this is on a weekly basis. So every week we're going to give one assignment. So each assignment will take around 3 to 4 hours to complete. So let me go back again. Where am I? Yes. So along with this, please complete all the hands-on exercises. So once you complete this, now additional material to read. You have a book called HANA Cookbook. That is very, very interesting book. Yeah, everyone has to read that book. It creates a lot of interest in HANA. And the second thing is, you have another book called S4H01. S4H01 is for S4 HANA. So here we're talking about, please see, in HA300 and data provisioning, we're talking about when ECC is here and HANA is over here. When ECC is on MS SQL, for example, here we are talking about sidecar scenario. This is known as a sidecar. Sidecar in the sense, for the existing customers. Existing customers have ECC on MS SQL, and how we can leverage HANA for existing customers. This is talks about data provisioning, which is HA350. In HA900, we talk about ECC is on HANA. In S4H01, we talk about simplification of the application layer. Means instead of ECC, now the solution itself is called as S4 HANA. S4 HANA on HANA. So there is no ECC at all. There is no ECC as such. ECC itself is known as S4, simplified fourth generation. So this book, S4H01, let me open this folder. The SAP HANA Cookbook S4H01. If you open this, this is nothing but Introduction to SAP Business Suite on HANA. This talks about mainly S4 HANA. So this book mainly talks about S4 HANA is only built on SAP HANA because only SAP platform can deliver such level of massive simplification and innovations. Okay, so coming back to this slide. So this book talks about only S4 HANA. Now, participants who are further from the functional point of view, if you're coming from functional background, if you already know FICO, if you already know, so this is not for us. Our scope of study is only here for certification, but additionally we'll actually look into S4 HANA is also part of course content for us. And once this is completed, participants who are coming from FICO background, FICO from the functional area, so both these courses will be suitable for technical guys, people who are from ABAP background, people who are from BW background, technical background, any SAP consultant technical background. So, but participants who are coming from FICO background, for example, this is functional area. So how much knowledge do I require from this and this, from both this? From S4, they require 100% knowledge. From this, they require the data modeling concepts. Means 40% of the knowledge is required from here. Even for functional guys. I mean, how ECC is on HANA, how MS SQL is on, what is the sidecar scenario? I'm sorry. And then they can move on to something called, this is not for us, but some of the participants in this demo are also from finance background. For them, they have to go to AC 100, AC 110, AC 115, and S4 H01. This is known as simple finance. So for this, we have a separate course that also, we run this course also, but this is mostly suitable for FICO guys. This is known as simple finance. So for this course, the demo is on March 10th. So March 10, there's a daily session that is happening. Daily, there is one and a half hour session. The course is for 25 hours. That course is for 25 hours. It mainly discusses about migration, how to migrate to SAP HANA, how to migrate from ECC to S4 HANA, accounting powered by HANA, cash management powered by HANA, S4 HANA. So this course is for 25 hours. That will be taken by a different faculty called Surya. His name is Surya, my name is Nagarjuna. So I am the owner of this course. And Surya is the owner of this course. So he's going to deliver this course. So from the HANA point of view, we only require until here. Technical guys, and this is for functional guys. So that is for today's session. If participants may have any questions. So today's session, we see what are the different systems, how the systems can be integrated to each other, what is the username and password for each system. That is for today's session. Thank you everyone, taking your valuable time and attending today's demo. And surely we'll meet on Monday with our first session, which is we start with HANA Studio. So anyone have any questions, please type in the chat box. So first what I will try to do now, I will read all your questions that are there in the chat box, and then I will read each of your questions. So first we'll start from basically why SLT is required RFC. Which kind of connection? Okay. I think Harshvardhan has asked, but he's already left from this. Okay, he's back. Okay. Harsha, why do we require RFCs? Because you see, ECC is an ABAP system and SLT is also an ABAP system. For two ABAP systems to communicate to each other, we require an RFC connection. So RFC connection comes into play when two ABAP systems communicate to each other. You see, HANA is a non-ABAP system. It's not based on ABAP, but SLT is based on ABAP. So SLT to HANA is a DB connection. So if you see here, ECC to SLT is RFC because both are ABAP systems. And even SLT can be accessed from SAP GUI. From SLT to HANA is a DB connection. Okay, let's go to the next question. How come delta data brings using SLT? The next question from Sundar. So, how will delta come? What is delta? Delta is nothing but newly created records or changed records. For example, my phone number is 77999129. Tomorrow, my phone number is changed to a different number. But we have a million customers. In that million customers, the only phone number that is changed is mine. The question here is, how will I only get my new number, which is updated? Only the updated record I need to get to HANA. Okay. How SLT handles this is using something called DB triggers. It uses a DB trigger concept. Now, what is a DB trigger concept? DB trigger is nothing but it is a small piece of procedural code. It's a small piece of procedural code that monitors for any events that takes place on a table. For example, we insert a record. It monitors for that event. We update a record. It monitors that event. We delete a record. It monitors that event. So what is that we are doing now? We have done an update from the old number to a new number. So it monitors the code, the procedural code monitors that event and send only that phone number to the target system. So to answer this question, how will delta handle? Delta is nothing but newly created records or changed records. The delta can be handled by DB trigger. DB trigger is nothing but it monitors for any events that takes place on database and sends to the target system. Coming to the next question. What do we do in data modeling? What do we do in data modeling? Okay. What do we do in data modeling is nothing but database is a collection of tables. All tables are scattered. There are millions of tables that are scattered inside the database. Now, how do I analyze these tables? We need to have a relationship between these tables. I'll tell a simple example. Now, I want to create a report that gives me customer, materials, and gross revenue. So what customers are purchasing, what materials? For these materials, what is my gross revenue? For example, the customer information is stored in a different table. Material information is stored in a different table. And the gross revenues are stored in a different table. So to achieve this requirement, to understand what customers are purchasing, what materials, these materials, what is the gross revenue? The tables, to achieve this requirement, I have three different tables. Now I need to find out a way where I can join these three tables together. Nothing but this is known as relationship between tables. How we need to relate these tables together. After relating these tables, what are the different conditions we need to apply? Like what is the different join types? So all these things is achieved using data modeling. And this data modeling, we create attribute views, analytic views, calculation views in HANA. Let's go to the next question. Is it possible to do daily business activities in HANA, like creating purchase orders? Is still ECC required for it? Okay, so we see, yes, we're creating a purchase orders, but where are we creating purchase orders? Are we using ECC on HANA? I'm giving different examples actually. Are we using ECC on HANA? Are we using S4 HANA? Or are we creating our own application? For example, I can create an e-commerce website like Alibaba. I can create an e-commerce website like Alibaba. Alibaba website or an app, the app called Alibaba can use HANA as its database by using Java extensions. So the purchase orders you can create without ECC by developing your own application. You can have with ECC when you want to use when we want to use S4 HANA or Business Suite on HANA. If you want to develop your own application, you can develop in SAP HANA. But again, it is very time consuming because you have to redevelop everything, or you want to use standard functionality given by SAP. So purchase orders can be created in Business Suite on HANA. We can create in S4 HANA, or you can develop your own application and store all this purchase or excuse me, and store all this purchase or related information in HANA. You can have front end. For front end, you can have Fury like application, Fury. A Fury is nothing but it is just like SAP GUI. For ECC, how we have SAP GUI, for HANA we have Fury. So I'm an ABAP consultant. How HANA will be useful for me? To tell you very frankly, lot of ABAP consultants in the past have taken this course, and you see, okay, let me try to tell this way. For example, you're an ABAP consultant. Whatever that we are doing in ABAP, like whatever I'm doing in BW, whatever I'm doing in ABAP, can also be done in HANA itself. So there are cases where you can use ABAP for HANA, where you don't need ABAP at all. For example, when you have S4 running on cloud, we don't use ABAP at all. Or when you want to use ABAP on-premise. So what I'm trying to say, if you're creating a report in ABAP, we are using ABAP programming to create those reports. For example, when I'm creating the same report in HANA, First of all, I don't require any ABAP. Means the business requirement is same, but where I'm trying to achieve that requirement is different. Am I writing an ABAP code to develop that report? Or inside the native HANA, I can take tables, create data models. After creating these data models, I can do presentation of data. I can present data to the end users. So that's a different model. But finally, the business requirement can be achieved. One is writing code and one is developing the data model in HANA, but the result is same. If you ask me what is the more easiest way and more impactful way, in ABAP it requires lot of development time to develop a report. HANA is based on model to code. We only design models, system can generate the code. That is first thing. Second thing is how we want to present data. There are more options. Like you can integrate to HANA, third-party systems, SAP BOBI platform. You can integrate mobile applications. You can reuse. We can reuse the same data model to expose to different extensions, to third-party programs. So we create one data model and we expose this data model to several applications. But whenever you write a code in ABAP, that is only specific to that system. And there is no much flexibility in terms of viewing the report, simplicity to maintain. Now, for example, you get an enhancement, we have to again write code enhancing, but in here it's just a matter of 5 to 10 minutes. So what I'm trying to say is requirement in both in ABAP as well as in HANA, the result is same, but more easier and more flexible to maintain in SAP HANA. So that's how whatever we done in ABAP can also be done in SAP HANA. And that's why ABAP consultant, moving forward, most of the functionality SAP is going to build in SAP HANA in future. So in terms of that, an ABAP consultant, for ABAP consultant, HANA will be useful. So that is one of the examples. There are a lot of other examples. Whenever you write a complex program in ABAP, the same program you can write in HANA using calculation views of type scripted views. A normal ABAP program for an MRP, material requirement planning. To run an material requirement planning program, it takes more than general case. For a mid-size customer, it would take 2 to 3 days. The same program when you run in HANA, it takes only 6 minutes. Output is same. Running the material requirement program is same, output is same, but where we design the program is different. Whether you done in ABAP, whether we done in native HANA. So it's more impactful on native HANA. It's going to save our time. 6 minutes versus 3 days. So that's the impact HANA can create. So next question. When we use BODS and DXE from RAW, BODS is used for batch, DXE is used only when we have BW. DXE is only suitable when you have BW, but BODS will be suitable for any system. You can bring data from files, you can bring data from Hadoop, you can bring data from third-party systems, we can bring data from SAP applications, BW, files. So BODS is something like a data integrator. It can integrate data from heterogeneous source systems. That's the importance of BODS. But DXE, on the other hand, can only get data from BW. So if you have BW, DXE can work. If you don't have BW, DXE cannot work. But how can we get data when you don't have BW? We can get using BODS. Let's go to the next question. So we have SAP ECC, HANA, S4 HANA. Is it not required to R3 system when we are going to implement S4 HANA? No. We don't require R3 system when we go for S4 HANA. Next question. How to know SAP tables and the relationship between tables? Do we have any documentation? Yes. I've collected documentation on how these tables are interconnected to each other based on different applications. So this is there in the Dropbox. We can access this document using Dropbox. Next question. When we have S4 HANA faster processing for reporting, why do we need BI and Crystal report separately? Okay, S4 HANA is mainly simplification of tables and maintaining of these tables, maintaining of programs, configuration, everything is done in S4 HANA. And HANA database is to create native HANA models. On the other hand, Crystal Reports Enterprise or Crystal Reports or BI is only the presentation part. So after all the processing is done, we have to present this data somewhere. We would like to present. Where do we want to present? Whether you want to present in Excel, whether you want to present in browser, whether you want to see data in your mobile. So this presentation is nothing but BI, business intelligence. How we would like to presentation of data is actually data reporting, to report on the data. But to get that presentation of data, we need to create a data foundation for data. That foundation of data we can create in HANA using data modeling. Excuse me. So how can we use Excel files to load to HANA? A simple way to load Excel file is you can click on File, Import Excel file to SAP HANA. So we have an option in the HANA Studio to import files. Next question. A delivery unit for data transport. Delivery units for data transport, development, quality production system will generate a TR number. I think the question is for transporting of data models. Okay, to transport data models from one system to a different system, we use delivery units. Just like in SAP, we have transport request. In HANA, we have delivery units. Using delivery units, you can transport. So how this works is actually, you see, the data modeling, whatever the data models that we create, we associate them to a package. Now, what is a package? A package is nothing but group of data models. You're trying to group. How you're trying to group? Okay, all the sales related data models keep in one package. They're just like different baskets. One basket for sales, other basket for HR, other basket for FI. So we're trying to group in different baskets. Now from each of these baskets, now this basket has to be transported from development to quality. To transport this basket from development to quality, there should be a way to transport them from development to quality. So what we do is, this basket we associate with the delivery unit. So a delivery unit is an object that is responsible to transfer the basket call package from one system to a different system. So whose responsibility to transport models from one system to a different system? A delivery unit. So the question here, when a customer is migrating from ECC, when a customer migrates to ECC from S4 HANA, it's again a new implementation in the technical side or a business side, because all SPRO needs to be copied from ECC. Question from Dinesh. So the question here is, suppose say we have ECC system and we have ECC system. We want to migrate to S4 HANA. We want to migrate to S4 HANA system. So how can I migrate an existing ECC to S4 HANA? So are we talking about, so here when we migrate, there are three things to keep in mind. The first thing is, first of all, we know S4 HANA can only work on HANA system. And ECC is on MS SQL, for example. Now, first of all, we need to do database migration. Database migration. Why we need to do database migration? Because ECC is on MS SQL and S4 HANA can work on only HANA. So first, remove the ECC and replace with HANA. Step number one, now we have HANA, but still we have ECC on top of HANA. So what we have to do, migrate ECC to S4 HANA. So how are we going to migrate MS SQL to HANA? Using DMO. There is a procedure called DMO, database migration option. Now who is going to perform this? HANA administrator. HANA administrator is going to perform this activity. Now who is going to migrate ECC to S4 HANA? So for that also we have a procedure in SPRO. In SPRO we have something called migration to S4 HANA. We have sequence of steps that we need to execute in SPRO. Now that will be executed by the functional consultant. Database migration is done by HANA admin. Migration of ECC to S4 HANA is done by the functional consultant. In the SPRO, he has to perform sequence of steps. Then the migration can be completed. I think these are the questions that we have. So now we will take questions from participants. We'll take questions from participants. I don't see any hand raised from any participant. Okay, here we have few hand raised.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
Yeah, Nagarjun. Actually, I have 4 years of experience in SAP ABAP and OOPS ABAP. I want to learn. I want to know how this should be add on to my profile resume, and my job profile would be changed. How can I apply for applying for the different companies?
Okay. So basically, you're an ABAP consultant, and then you're looking to move to SAP HANA. So from the ABAP point of view, if you see, whatever the things that you are doing in ABAP, for example, developing a report or writing a custom logic, or creating a function module, or developing a new user interface, like enhancing the existing screens. Now, without above application layer, everything can be done in HANA also. Now, there are two ways to go. One is whether your interest continue to move to ABAP related HANA, or you want to go in a newer direction. The newer direction is nothing but in where you would not see or you would not work much on ABAP. You have to change your skill set from ABAP to SQL script and Fury. Fury is nothing but what are the things that you're doing in ABAP in SAP GUI, enhancing the front-end screens. The same things can also be done in Fury using HTML5. So Fury, you have to learn Fury in the front end. Instead of ABAP, you have to learn you have to learn SQL script. The things that you are doing in ABAP to define relationship between tables, you have to do data modeling. So ABAP still continue to move when you have business suite powered by HANA. But for new customers, so suddenly today I cannot say no one should use ABAP, everyone should go for HANA. We cannot say like that because SAP still continue to support the existing customers who are already on ABAP. That's why they have a solution called Business Suite on HANA or S4 HANA on-premise edition. Still moving forward, SAP also wants to move forward where there is no ABAP application layer, where they want to expose to a new applications without ABAP. So in both the cases, whether it is moving forward with ABAP or moving forward with HANA, we all require, 100% we all require the fundamentals of HANA. For everything that we work in future will be only based on HANA. The fundamentals of HANA, how HANA can operate. For everyone, we use new kinds of models to develop the application. So from that point of view, whether it could be BW, whether it could be ABAP, for everyone, because SAP suggests all the customers by 2022, all the customers who are using non-HANA databases, SAP recommend to go for HANA moving forward. It means that all 2,25,000 customers, SAP suggests to go for HANA, but still they continue to support the existing databases. Ramachandra Palanivel.
Yeah, yeah. Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Ramachandra Palanivel.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you just said that encoding will be done when the data has been transferred from the database to HANA, right? I mean the strings to integers.
Yeah, inside the HANA database. It's done inside the HANA
Yeah,
database.
inside the data. Okay, right.
Yeah.
And then now, if then the user is trying to access the data, then
Yeah.
it has to be again decoding, right?
Yeah, correct.
It has to be again decoding.
Decoding, yes.
Then if the decoding has been, if the decoding is done, then again the integers has to be converted into strings. Then
Yes.
is there any chance to occupy the most space in the memory? Because it has been again converted into strings, right?
Very good question. The question here is, when you're converting A is equal to 1, now when I convert to 1, now will user able to see A or 1? Now if he sees 1, then what is the use of converting A to 1? Because he doesn't understand what is 1. And the next question is, when you have 1, again when user sees A, is it going to take more space? That's the question over here. To answer this question, SAP does decoding of data. Decoding of data is executed. Decoding of data is executed in the L3 cache memory of a CPU. So in CPU, basically you have three cache memories. One is L1 cache, L2 cache, L3 cache. Now please see, whenever you right click on your taskbar, did you ever find any time CPU is 100% utilized? Unless and until you execute complex, you play some video games or you use heavy applications, your CPU never is 100% utilized. Most of the time it is zero. Even now, what is my utilization of my CPU? Let us see. So what is my utilization here? Please see. 8%, 11%. But the memory utilization is 3.9%. So in the 100% of my CPU utilization, so how much percent I'm trying to use? 12%. So the question here is, where is the decoding executed? Decoding is executed inside L3 cache memory of the CPU. So what does this mean? We are not actually decoding data and storing data anywhere. But when we encode, we store. But when we decode, we never store. It's on the fly. On the fly means when we execute the report, at that point of time, the decoding is executed, because most of the time CPU is doing nothing, being idle. In order to completely utilize the power of the CPU, we execute massive parallel processing. So how fast each core in a CPU can work? It can work 3.5 billion scans per second per core, 15 to 30 million aggregations per second per core. So that's why in HANA we always prefer, rather than storing data physically, we get on the fly, because the parallel processing is executed in HANA. It means that CPU is never kept idle. It always try to exploit the power of the CPU. Thank you. Okay, then I'll stop the session for today. Sorry to extend the session again. We got a little delay due to questions, and surely from Monday we will, according to the schedule, we follow from 7:30 till 9. That is 1.5 hour session. Thank you everyone to attend today's session, and have a nice weekend. And Bharat will send out all the materials to you and all the system access. Thank you everyone. Have a nice day. Good morning, good evening, and good night to everyone. Thank you.